the church. How many people got out and enjoyed the gift of nature and God's creation this week? Wasn't it wonderful? It's a great week. In terms of today is the Sunday where each year we celebrate Evolution Sunday to honor the truth of science, of medicine, of biochemistry, of geology, of anthropology, and of all the sciences. Because we are a church that believes that science is not only real, but is true and connected to the heart and reality of creation. In other news, upcoming Meaningful Movie Night will be on Wednesday, February 19th, featuring an unknown hero of the civil rights movement. We have a group meeting that is called Jesus is Peeved. So are we. I was going to ask you if I can say that in church, but I've already said it. So that's Thursday, February 13th at 4. After church today, we have the spirituality sharing group, and we're going to talk about in church spirituality in terms of form versus content. And I'll show you a demonstration. This is used by Hindus for their prayer counting. It's Wagruska beads that come off a tree and they string them together. This is something that you'll see a lot in India where people will count their prayers. This is a Buddhist prayer model. It's made out of wood. Once again, where people count their prayers. Some of you who grew up Catholic know what this is. What is this? It's a rosary, where once again, this is plastic. And once again, people will use this to count their prayers and to enter into a space of spiritual peace. Anyone know what this is? This is something my sister gave me. This is an Eastern Orthodox prayer rope made out of wool. It has 300 knots, and each time they recite the Jesus prayer, they move their finger over one knot. So all of these are different forms in different faiths to get us into that place where we recognize the divine spirit. All are welcome. We'll be in the library 11:15. Join with me in the invitation to worship. Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. For an opening reflection, I remember an anniversary I hit this past week. It was one of the most joyful days of my life. It was an anniversary of the day I received the COVID vaccine in Everett, Washington. Pam and I drove 88 miles round trip just to receive the vaccine. And also later we added something called a booster. Did everyone here get boosters? Why? Why would you get a booster? Because of what? Science tells us that what evolves? Viruses evolve. So if you don't believe in evolution, you should not get a booster. Maybe that should be a law. But life and all of life evolves. This is Evolution Sunday where we celebrate the reality that reminds us that we should always get another booster, including this fall. Over 1,200,000 people died from COVID in this country. Not counting the ignorant people who tried to inject bleach or ingest bleach based on Trump's advice, or take horse dewormer. So it's important, I believe, that churches affirm the truth of science, medicine, biochemistry, geology, anthropology, and other sciences. Because as one comedian noted, that the two most abundant elements in the universe are hydrogen and human stupidity.
Join me in a call to worship. We often worry about the future. How else else do you explain those who would end democracy if it might lower the price of bacon and eggs? We often worry about things we have little or no control over in life. And which of you can add a single hour to your life by constant worry and nagging fear? The Creator gives life to the grass that grows in the wilderness, the flowers that are resurrected without our aid, and the birds that sing songs of praise. Will the Creator who writes this story of evolution not care for the human race? Let us celebrate this gift of evolution that we call life. We live and breathe as a member of the choir in the Creator's song of life that began with the Big Bang of creation 14 billion years ago.
He's mad at you for not playing with him. Okay. Well, he's in a pouting mood, is what we would say, right? Well, that's all right. I imagine he'll be playing with you before the day is over. That's the way it happens. So, some of the most loved paintings on planet Earth, where you go to art museums, are paintings of places on planet Earth. How many love Van Gogh's sunflowers? Everyone love? I love Van Gogh's sunflowers. What about Monet's water lilies? There is a museum in Paris where you go down the basement and the whole walls are covered with nothing but the water lilies. What about mountains? You love paintings of mountains and the great paintings that you see in museums tell us a big secret. And here's the big secret we miss. That all of us live within a work of art. You ever thought about that? All of us live in a work of art. That the work of art is creation. The work of art is nature. The work of art is all around us if you live in Grand Junction, isn't it? Yeah. We live in a work of art. And that is one of the gifts of creation. We're surrounded by beauty in every direction. But we forget that we live in a work of art. One of the great things about the church is it tries to remind us of that. We don't have pictures of crusty old saints on the windows. What happened? Instead, we have pictures that remind us that we live in a work of art. Look and tell me what you see. Come on. As we walk, as we head to Sunday school, tell us what things you see. Birds, grapes. What else do you see? Flowers. What about over here? Butterflies. What else do you see? Fish. All these remind us that once again we live in a work of art. Amen. In terms of joys and concerns, Becky Reed had some great health news this week. She lost sight in one eye. And we were worried that it was a stroke, and she went into the doctor, and what they found was a fast-growing but removable cataract. So that's easy to handle, easy to fix, and she was in quite a panic, so she has a lot more peace. Peace, shalom, salam. In terms of concerns, there's too many to list. But the shutdown of the U.S. aid that Elon Musk bragged about, he said we put him in the wood chipper, and he could have gone to parties last weekend. He should have gone to the parties, because over 3,000 HIV patients are now without medication. That could result in thousands of AIDS cases and the spread of AIDS throughout the poorest countries of this world. There's also thousands of young children in Africa who will face death by starvation because we had an entire program for thousands of kids that keeps the starving children alive by giving them tubes of peanut butter. That was featured on 60 Minutes, but the peanut butter is something they can absorb where even something like milk or rice will not work. And so we're sentencing the poor and the poorest of the poor to painful death by the richest man on earth. We need to pray about that and take some action. Peace. Shalom. Salam. Who has a joy or concern to share? Jim, do you like a new place?
I'm about to move in
Oh, okay.
on Thursday to the Commons.
Right. Okay. I was ahead of the game. I thought you were already there. All right.
A friend of mine has just been diagnosed with stage 4 abdominal cancer.
Abdominal cancer.
Yes.
Okay. And introduce yourself.
Pardon?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Rob Elberfeld.
Okay. Peace. Shalom. Salam. Oh, all four of you are going to make an announcement. Okay.
I'm John, and birthdays are always a joy, and the older you get, the sweeter they become. And my soulmate here is having a birthday today, Kay. So we're happy about that.
And I heard rumors somebody made a cake.
Somebody that made it did, yeah.
Who made the cake? All right.
Me and Betty Crocker.
All right. We'll take a risk on Betty Crocker.
Hi, my name's Beth, and there are interesting developments, and I'm so proud of our mainline denominations and the work that we're doing. And you may be aware that there's a House Resolution number 59 where they are calling Bishop Buddy out on the carpet for her asking for mercy during a sermon. And the title tells you everything you need to know, expressing the sense of the House of Representatives that the sermon given by the Right Reverend Mary Ann Edgar Buddy at the National Prayer Service on January 21st, 2025, at the National Cathedral was a display of political activism and condemning its distorted message. Now, this is a resolution, and it has been moved to the House Oversight Committee. I have a letter here to Representative Jeff Hurd, Congregational 3rd District. And what it asks is, as staff members, congregants, and friends of First Congregational United Church of Grand Junction, we would ask that you, 1, speak strongly against the resolution if when this matter arises for debate. 2, vote against this resolution should it actually come up for vote. And it includes excerpts from the statement made by the General Minister of the UCC, which is our denomination, Reverend Dr. Karen Thompson. And you can read this for yourself. I've got 2 clipboards. You can read through the letter, and there's a second page for you all to add your signatures. And what I'd like you to do, if you're comfortable, there's no pressure here, but I'd like you, if you're comfortable signing this statement, to sign your name, and please add your zip code.
Okay. Name and zip code.
Name and zip code. This won't make a difference unless there's a lot of signatures. And the important part is the signatures. And my rationale for this is I want Jeff Hurd to know who this congregation is and what we stand for.
Beautiful. And here's the reality. Here's the reality. We have these people who call themselves Christians, but if Jesus had preached the Sermon on the Mount at the National Cathedral, they would have been horrified and asked that he be deported. That is the reality we face. What did you say?
Mother made me do it. I'm Elizabeth. There was a rumor going around town last weekend that ICE was going to be going into the public schools. We had 2.5 single-spaced pages of absences on Monday because our kids were afraid to come to school. Please support your neighbors, help them get to school. We've got to keep the ball in motion for our public school students, because our hope is that this is how we build a stronger society.
I'm Donna, and I just wanted to say everyone that love and peace, and to everyone, and that's what we all pray for, right? And in unity. And the most important thing for us all to know is surrendering to Christ in fullness, not partially. And because to be, of sin and in the world like I once was, and I'm trying so hard, to pursue holiness, because through Christ is the way, not just through peace, love, and prayer and church, but Christ is the way to salvation. Amen?
That one, Bill?
Yeah. This just seems appropriate to mention this in today's call to worship. It says, the Creator gives life to the grass that grows in wilderness, the flowers that are resurrected without our aid. Well, you go outside the front door, walk out the sidewalk, and look this way, there's a bunch of plants on the ground that have big white buds on them. They're getting ready to bloom in the flowers.
Oh, no one told him it was February.
I'm Andrea, and on a much lighter 12:15.
The one
United
downtown.
Methodist Church downtown.
Methodist Church downtown. Noon music, 12:15.
Most of, a lot of us remember.
Max is great.
I'm Dana. I have a lot of prayer requests, but one is for my mom. She lost her husband last year. Now one of her friends is dying. So she just is feeling a lot of sadness. The second one, a lot of people know our very old main Chihuahua, and she's towards her end of life. She had a seizure this morning. So, yeah, we're working through that. And then the third one my best friend Amber works for the CDC. And she has not lost her job yet, but a lot of people are worried about losing their jobs. And she said even there's like a new app on their laptops now, or on their work computers that are like recording everything that they're saying. And so there's just a lot of, I think, fear going around and a lot of people that have uncertainty in the workplace. And again, like the health impacts of not having agencies worried about health. So.
I'm Vicki, and I'm going to ask prayers for my niece Nicole and my sister. My other niece died very suddenly, and Nicole is in the nursing program. And Stephanie died just before she started the program. And now she's found out that my mother-in-law is dying from cancer. And Nikki has left her home in Meeker. She's staying with me while she goes to nursing school. And I just would ask prayers that she finds the strength to continue all this, and because her schooling is very difficult.
Yes. Some of us remember chemistry. Peace. Shalom. Shalom. Let us enter into prayer together. God of love, before the dawn of time and space, your love gave birth to this universe. We are children of this evolving creation. God of love, your work is present in every shining star, in planets and moons and comets. This universe is your symphony of life. As we gaze at the night sky, our hearts are in awe and amazement at the immensity of this creation. We express our thanks for this life and our life-giving earth, for air to breathe, for safe water to drink, for life-producing soil. We pray for the evolution of the inner spirit, the soul and the mind of the human race, in this time where cruelty seems to be replacing the compassion of Christ. Let us find the breakthrough of consciousness that connects us to greater empathy, healing, and hope. Help us to discover new pathways to peace when more nations seek to develop nuclear weapons. Open our hearts to new paths of human evolution as we express our faith in following Jesus, who taught us to pray by saying, "Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
The generous life responds to the goodness of God and the needs of the world. There is no need that our collective human resources cannot meet because of the abundance of creation. May we celebrate and honor the creation by giving without fear or suspicion as an act of faith and trust in the Holy One and in one another. Give generously. Our scripture today comes from Luke chapter 12, verses 22 to 31. Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. For how much more value are you than the birds? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your span of life? If then you are not able to do so small a thing as Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, and yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass in the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown in the oven, how much more will God clothe you, you of little faith? And do not keep seeking what you are to eat and what you are to drink, and do not keep worrying. For it is the nations of the world that seek all these things, and God knows that you need them. Instead, seek God's kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well.
In our tradition, there can be no conflict between creation and evolution because all of life is evolving. It is a reality and truth that we celebrate. Today we honor the congregational tradition on Evolution Sunday. Our congregational tradition is one that honors education, that recognizes and celebrates the truth of science, and celebrates the love of God that is expressed through nature. We also celebrate, and should not forget to celebrate, the lives saved through vaccination. And the lives placed in jeopardy if we stop vaccinating our children and grandchildren. It was our spiritual ancestors who founded the first major private colleges in this country. Harvard was founded and named after Pastor Reverend John Harvard. You can see his Puritan statue in the middle of Harvard Square, and you're supposed to, for good luck, rub his feet. Yale was founded by the third pastor of the Congregational Church of Saybrook, Connecticut. I know because I was the 21st pastor of that particular church. The oldest books in the Yale Library collection are the 2,000 books that the third pastor used to start the Yale University Library. Dartmouth College was founded by Congregationalists as an outreach mission school to educate Native Americans. Other Congregationalists founded colleges wherever they went. So if you look at the history of these schools, you realize they were founded by Congregationalists. Williams, Amherst, Middlebury, Overland, Mount Holyoke, Carleton, and 42 other colleges across this nation, from Maine to California. Our heritage has never tried to deny the truth of science. We honor Evolution Sunday to honor our own history, our own heritage. When Darwin was writing his major books and published The Origin of the Species, the most well-known preacher in America was a Congregationalist named Henry Ward Beecher out of Church of the Pilgrims in Brooklyn. And in support of Darwin's theory, Reverend Beecher wrote, "I regard evolution as being the discovery of the divine method within creation. I hold that evolution, so far as being in antagonism with true religion, no, it will develop with more power than any presentation of science, the theology that we hold within our hearts. The day will come when we think and feel thankful for evolution because it explains the nature of life." In his book, Evolution and Religion, Beecher shared this aphorism: "Design by wholesale is grander than design by retail." If we reject God's revelation in the Bible, it's called infidelity. What is it to reject God's revelation in the very structure of this globe? He knew that we live within a work of art. Evolution is a vital part of the fabric of life. Another Congregational minister, Reverend Lyman Abbott, explained it this way, and he did it with a sense of style. He said, a theistic evolutionist believes in God, a personal God, who thinks and feels, but does not believe in some distant king sitting on a great white throne, remote, inaccessible, far off, indifferent. We believe God is in creation and manifests through all the forces of nature. That what we call the laws of nature are all creations of the divine. And that God works through creation and within creation. We believe that we are the product of a process of evolution that is truly divine manifestation. Now, that sounds like something written over the last 20 years in the big fights between creationism and evolution. Reverend Abbott wrote these words in a book that I treasure called The Theology of an Evolutionist. It was written in 1897. That's how long we have felt connected to the truth of science. So why does the Christian church celebrate science? Because it is part of the gift of life. It is part of our connection to God, the divine, the holy that is all around us, that is reflected in our very windows. Was not Charles Darwin, in his own way, a bold prophet of truth? And like the prophets of the Bible, if you tell the truth, sometimes people will get angry, fearful, and violent. Some of you in your education saw the cartoons of angry, reactive fundamentalists who would often picture Darwin as half ape, who would try to humiliate him and make fun of him. In reality, evolution is not Darwinism or anyism. It's just how our own history since the Big Bang has unfolded. When we think of evolution, it's simply a tool to explain the truth of life. Now, many have regarded Darwin as an agent of Satan, as someone who's going to burn in the lowest pits of hell, as someone who is unworthy of any type of Christian concern or Christian burial, which raises the question, where was Darwin buried? I know that's a weird question. Do you know? I visited his burial site in England. Do you know where he was buried? Anyone? His burial is in the most sacred shrine for the saints of English history. He's in Westminster Abbey, near Sir Isaac Newton. What does that tell you about England's perception of Charles Darwin, that he was a prophet of truth and in no way an anti-Christian? People of faith, we shouldn't fear any truth discovered through geology, anthropology, medicine. People of faith know the truth and tell the truth, including about the evolution of life. If all truth, and all truth is God's truth, how can there be any conflict between faith and evolution, unless you create one yourself? We recognize God's presence in the process of life. And there is no conflict or contradiction. I found common ground with the Dalai Lama, the leader of Tibetan Buddhists, who says, if science discovers something that is in conflict with the dogmas and teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, then we need to change the dogmas and teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. The Christian church has done the same with a lot more struggle. A little bit more struggle towards Copernicus, Galileo, Darwin, and yes, Dr. Fauci. Did you hear about the cruel act towards Dr. Fauci? His life has been in danger, he's been threatened, he has multiple death threats on a regular basis, and a certain new president removed his security detail to punish him because he disagreed with the truth of science. So when we think about what is this conflict all about? It's about Christians who are filled with fear, and yes, sometimes vote their fear. It's about clinging to a small little view of God that doesn't fit with reality. It is the ignorance that comes when people don't respect creation but yell, "Drill, baby, drill." Sin is often limited in some people's minds to personal acts, when actually sin applies to the willful destruction of God's creation. Sin is the destruction of creation, whether it's human, or animal, or plant, or mineral. All of that is sin if you are destroying God's creation. And part of that destruction comes through propaganda about vaccines and lies about green energy that are becoming much more common. This year in July, we celebrate the historical anniversary of 100 years involving the most well-known battle of evolution. How many in school studied what was called the Scopes monkey trial? That was 100 years ago, July 1925, where a teacher, public school teacher, was placed on trial for teaching evolution. He was found guilty and fined $100. On appeal, he was found not guilty, vindicated. And many progressives, many leaders, and many in our congregational tradition breathed a sigh of relief that yes, we can teach the truth in our public schools about biology, geology, anthropology, and yes, fossils. But that struggle continues. We're in a cultural war that has long been set since 1925 against evolution, against reason, against affirmative action, or helping those people of color, against public schools, against stem cell research, and against those stores that don't wish you a Merry Christmas. First Congregational Church has an important role in truth-telling. That's why we're sending a letter to our congressional representative. On the Western Slope, there are even people, including a science teacher I talked to on Wednesday, who believes and assumes that Christians are all sort of right-wing crackpots, and was absolutely surprised that a church would have an evolution Sunday every year, the second week in February. And I can't blame them. I grew up in Virginia where the loudest Christian voices were, of course, on one side, Pat Robertson, on the other side, Jerry Falwell. If I thought they represented Christianity, I could not be a Christian. To be a Christian is to support the truth wherever it's found, and to support public school teachers who speak the truth and teach the truth. And that, my friends, is why we celebrate Evolution Sunday, along with many other congregations across this nation and in Canada. They're all part of a movement called the Clergy Letter Project, where churches sign on to affirm that they believe the truth of science and will support those who teach the truth of science. We're not going to be silenced by a cultural war. So let me quote from a book that I read recently. And it sounds like an op-ed from this week, but this is a book I was reading recently. And it writes, "The deplorable fact must be recognized that in the United States today there exists side by side two opposing cultures. One or the other, which must eventually dominate our public institutions, political, legal, educational, and social. On one side we see arrayed forces of progress in education. On the other side, the forces of reaction. There is no compromise between these diametrically self-styled fundamentalists can gain control over our state and national government, which is their avowed objective, much of the best that has been gained in American culture will be suppressed or banned, and we shall be headed backwards towards a new dark age. Sounds like an op-ed this week, doesn't it? Actually, those remarks were written by the president of the Science League of America in a book entitled The War on Modern Science. It was written in 1927. 98 years ago, when our ancestors were fighting those battles along with the public school teachers. 97 years ago, our ancestors were writing warnings about the future. What did the quote say? If self-styled fundamentalists gain control over state and national government, which is their objective, much of what is best in American culture will be suppressed or banned or heading backwards towards a new dark age. And I'm asking you, I don't need a response other than nod, are you feeling this? Are you sensing this? Are you noticing a massive erosion of Christian compassion and civil liberties? And are you feeling rather helpless? Is that? Well, the sermon has an application today, and you may not like it, and that's okay. You don't have to like it, you don't have to do it, you don't have to agree with it. I've been thinking the last 2 weeks about who are our neighbors in Grand Junction most at risk today and in the upcoming days. If ICE immigrants, if ICE immigration agents, if ICE goes looking for a church to invade and remove people, they're going to target St. Joseph's Catholic Church downtown. They have a Spanish language mass, Tuesday night at 6, Wednesday night at 6, Thursday night at 6. And that's when people are most vulnerable. So this week, I'm going to contact St. Joseph's, and I'm going to give them my phone numbers and volunteer to intervene as an English language communicator if ICE invades their sanctuary and starts taking people out of worship services. What does this involve? This involves asking questions of ICE agents. Where is your warrant? Was it signed? Is it up to date? Where are you taking these families? Can this person go home and pick up his medication so he not have his life in jeopardy? You ask questions, you get their contact numbers, you ask where are you taking these people? Because brown lives matter. As we head into a new, cruel, dark age, it's the work of Jesus, not simply to talk about Jesus, but to bring the light. It's the work of Jesus to bring the light wherever our neighbors are threatened, or endangered, or persecuted, or mistreated. So I'm going to talk with Elizabeth, too, about what we can do to also do this in public schools. Because I think what would be helpful for institutions most under threat is to have a long list of people who can be called and are willing to show up and say to ICE, we don't support this. We're citizens, we're Americans, and we have a different view of life and justice and mercy. The truth is, Bishop Buddy is being persecuted for simply teaching the Beatitude. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Now, I'm not saying you have to sign up to do this, but if you want to, let me know by Wednesday, because I plan on sharing contact numbers with them, and they will have ushers who will be glad to call us at dinner hour, probably, if it happens, to come and say, we don't support this. So, am I feeling helpless? No. Because there are a lot of fights to be fought that our ancestors knew about 97 years ago. and we simply follow in a tradition of people who realize that compassion can never be taken for granted.